so annoying. Why does everything have to be so boring?
All right, guys. I want to talk a little bit today about Bethany McGee. Who is Bethany McGee? You guys have probably heard the really tragic story of the young woman who was set on fire unprovoked on a Chicago Transit Authority Blue Line train on November 17th, 2025, near the Clark and Lake Station in downtown Chicago. She was sitting alone looking at her phone when the assailant, Lawrence Reed, allegedly poured gasoline on her and ignited it, leaving her severely burned and fighting for her life. Her family has focused on her recovery and initially kept her identity private, but it was publicly revealed on November 23rd by Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who criticized the city's handling of the suspect's prior offenses. So the suspect is one Lawrence Reed, who is 50 years old and faces federal charges, including a terrorism offense for the attack on a mass transit system. And a judge has ordered him detained due to his extensive criminal history. So I want to show you guys. This is the young woman, Bethany McGee. As far as I understand it, she is in stable condition in the hospital, fighting for her life. She has burns. I think it's 60% of her body. And the gentleman who, well, I don't want to say the gentleman, the absolute monster who did this to her, his name is Lawrence Reed. And if you look here, you see many images. They're kind of repeated. It's like a pattern, but he has an extensive record spanning over 30 years. He's 50 years old. So ever since he was about 20, he's been committing crimes. With approximately 72 arrests in Cook County, which Cook County is the county that contains Chicago and several of its suburbs, and around 15 convictions, including 8 felonies. So 72 arrests, 15 convictions, and 8 felony convictions. His offenses include violent assaults, multiple arsons, drug-related crimes, and property damage, often targeting public or government spaces like CTA trains and buildings. He has a documented history of mental health issues, with some sentences incorporating probation focused on treatment rather than incarceration. Some key offenses worth mentioning here. Driving offenses. So these are like the little things, revoked license, obstruction, things like that. In April of 2018, soliciting unlawful business, prohibited transactions. In June of 2018, criminal trespass, criminal damage to property. In December 2019, criminal damage to government property. In February 2020, battery, multiple counts of battery, assaults, including punching women in the face near O'Hara Washington Library. April 2020, aggravated arson, poured gasoline on a window ledge at the Thompson Center, which is a state building downtown Chicago, and attempted to ignite it, knowing that people were present. January 2020, criminal damage to government property, smashed windows on a Blue Line train at O'Hare Airport. The Blue Line is the train that goes to the airport, by the way. December 2021, assault, causing bodily harm, so just assaulting people. June 2022, battery, again, assault on a 42-year-old man at the Halstead Blue Line platform. January 2024, criminal damage to property. August 2024, aggravated battery, allegedly knocked a social worker unconscious at McNeil's Hospital psychiatric ward due to frustration over extended hold. November 2025, possible link to City Hall arson attempt. Suspected in a fire. This is not the burning of the woman. This is days before this attack. He was also a suspect for another arson attack. And that's still under investigation. So, why is it this man, who is clearly somebody who should be in prison, why was he released multiple times? Why was he allowed to roam free in Chicago? Well, this is because of something in Chicago called the Safety Act, or the Safety Act. And I'm going to explain what that is really quick. The Safety Act it's a safety is an acronym, stands for Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today Act. Equity. It's a sweeping 2021 criminal justice reform law in Illinois that fully went into effect on September 18, 2023. Its most famous and controversial provision is the complete elimination of cash bail across the state, making Illinois the first state in the nation to do so. Instead of requiring defendants to post money to get out of jail while awaiting trial, the law creates a presumption that almost everyone is eligible for pretrial release unless prosecutors can prove in a detention hearing that the person poses a real and present threat to a specific individual or the community, or is a high flight risk. So I would guess that, I don't know, a history of arson and battery means that this person could pose a real and present threat to people, to innocents. Anyway, the law is divided into three categories. One is non-detainable, mostly low-level crimes. Two is detainable only with strong evidence or danger of willful flight. And three, automatically detainable, murder, certain sex offenses, etc. Judges may still impose conditions such as electronic monitoring, curfews, no contact orders, or home confinement. So supporters like are basically progressives, Democrats, BLM activists, etc. And we're going to come back to the BLM, the Black Lives Matter stuff in a second. They argue that cash bail unfairly punishes the poor who couldn't afford modest bonds, leading to thousands languishing in jail for months or years on nonviolent charges simply because they were broke. They say the Safety Act shifts the focus from wealth to actual risk and has reduced the pretrial population without a corresponding spike in crime. Critics of this, law enforcement unions, Republicans, many suburban and downstate prosecutors, and even some Black and Latino pastors in high crime neighborhoods, so people who actually experience this, contend that the law standards for detention are too strict, that judges often err on the side of release, and that violations of release conditions such as cutting off an ankle monitor or missing curfew are rarely punished harshly or quickly enough. High-profile cases of repeat violent offenders released under this act, including Lawrence Reed in this story, have been repeatedly cited as evidence that the law's catch and release approach endangers public safety, which it does. So this guy should have been behind bars, and if he was, probably a lot, not just this woman getting set on fire wouldn't have happened, but probably a lot of other crimes that were committed wouldn't have happened either. But you know what the real sad irony is of this? The real sad irony of this is that it looks like this woman supported Black Lives Matter. And I mean, it's not surprising because she was 20 years old when this was at its peak in 2020. This was found on her social media profile. It's like a badge, her Black Lives Matter badge. Now, it's hard to confirm this for sure because all of her social media stuff is kind of, let's say, inaccessible at the moment. And it's probably because people were like looking to find out, you know, did she support this? Now, I think it's probably a fair assessment to think that she would, taking into account a few things. Number one, she was 20 years old when this happened, probably went to college, probably had this idea that she as a white person is guilty for collective oppression of blacks and browns throughout all time immemorial, and that she has to like say something and stand up. Now, this doesn't mean that she was an activist or she went to the, you know, marches or anything like that, but it doesn't really matter because what she did was she supported the sentiment, which was part of this, you know, the psyop that is Black Lives Matter, the grift, like a real grift that made them millions of dollars to a bunch of like fat black lesbians that actually didn't care about black people, and they just saw this as an opportunity to make some money because they were Marxists and they were like ultimately just seeking to destroy the family and redistribute wealth to themselves, which they did. They successfully accomplished their goals. They're millionaires now. Meanwhile, the foolish, self-hating, oikophobic white people that supported them, especially the ones in cities like Chicago, Minneapolis, Baltimore, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Boston, etc., they're the ones that have to essentially cope with the consequences of that, like this catch and release policy. Now, these catch and release policies that Chicago has in place were around before the BLM stuff happened, but I think that it's only gotten more, let's say, it's only been ramped up more since then. Brandon Johnson ran on defunding the police, and he got elected purely because self-hating white people voted for him, and black people who vote along racial lines voted for him. That's the reason why he won. That's the reason why Beetlejuice won before him, was because she was a black lesbian, and they were like, let's elect a black lesbian because we don't have one of those. And that didn't work out for them. So I'm not saying that this was deserved. I want to get this clear. I don't think she deserved this. I think she was young. I think she was naive. I think that she, like many people, especially women, they want to say or do the things that they think will, that it would sound the most appealing, that feels good. And she did that. She probably didn't think this could happen to her. And I don't know if she's been like thinking about this since this has happened. I mean, she is in the hospital recovering, and I hope that she does. And I hope that, this stuff doesn't like stick with her, because I burns are not fun at all. And I just don't wish that on anybody. But I do think that we have to have a conversation about like, what is the right way? We have to like stand back and say, okay, like this was a mistake. And it's very sad. Like this should not have happened. But here we are. So it looks like she was a BLM supporter. I'm going to ask, as a brown person, I'm going to ask you white people to stop hating yourself and stand up for yourself and just be reasonable. Stop treating us like minorities, like we're children. We're not. I can't stand this anti-whiteism, and I don't think you should put up with it either. I think it's ridiculous and absurd. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. I hope that, you give this a thought. I've lost a lot because of this BLM stuff. And this is actually very personal for me. I grew up in Chicago. I was born there. It's my home. I still fondly think of it as a place that I where all my friends and my family are. And it's not a bad place with that. It's got great people. It's just really poorly run, and it needs like absolute government reform of some kind. Like something has to change. But I have fled there. My life has been turned upside down since the BLM riots. I've lost like a lot of friends because they were these kind of self-hating white people that thought that, if I just like virtue signal about how hard black people have it and how mean police are, that, maybe, I don't know, like maybe people will think I'm a good person. I just want people to stop doing that. I think it's pathetic, and it really angers me because they actually make things worse. Because what we want is to put criminals in jail and stop thinking about what color their skin is, or what, what their genitals look like. Like it's all got to stop. We just got to stop doing this self-hating virtue signaling garbage and just get to like brass tacks and try to be real. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
This is so annoying. Why does everything have to be so boring?